I see you have returned, my dear eavesdropper. Did you not learn enough from the tale of the father? Well, please, allow me to tell you the story of the son. I'll drop you into his eyes, so you may experience everything he does. The ups, the downs, and the woes. Just so you know, this story does not end on a pleasant note. Sam uncrosses his legs and crosses them back the other way. He winks. I'll be honest with you guys, being the son of a wealthy congressman has its perks. I lived the life, money, drugs, alcohol, women. I had it all. Now I'm sitting here, underneath this bridge, wrapped in an old ratty blanket, trying to stay warm. It's all her fault. She made me do it, I swear. The Bible says women are supposed to be subservient to men, and when I came onto her, she turned me away. That stupid fucking bitch. What kind of name is Veronica anyway? Sounds like a fucking porn star. She was wearing this sequined red dress with a slit up to her thigh that screamed easy. So I made my approach. Those legs would look nice wrapped around my neck. She scoffed at me and furrowed her brow like I was some regular Joe.
Tell me, how many women does that bullshit work on?
I was confused because, well, she obviously had no idea who I was. Oh, my apologies. I'm Jacob Winston. My father is...
Samuel Winston. I am very aware of who you are. Your father as well.
Who in the world does this bitch think she is? She puts on a red dress, throws on a push-up bra, dyes her hair blonde, and thinks her shit don't stink. It's women like this that need to be taught a lesson. I narrowed my eyes and regained my composure. Listen, I'm sorry, I should really think before speaking to people this way. Let me buy you a drink. 2 shots of Louis XII. She smiled, and I nodded. Making my way to the bar, I locked eyes with Ernesto, the bartender, and he made his way over to me. I nodded at him, and he nodded back. He made the drinks and brought them back to me. He pointed at the 2 shots on the left with his pointer and middle finger, and then pointed at me. I smiled at him and scooped the shots up. 2 in my left hand and 2 in my right. You see, I and Ernesto had an agreement. He made shots, special for me, and I made sure his family stayed in the country. The 2 shots on the left, straight cognac. The 2 shots on the right, a little cocktail of a good night's sleep. I returned to Veronica and handed her the 2 shots.
Thank you, my dear rich boy.
She smiled before tossing back both shots. I smiled greedily inside. Anything for a woman as beautiful as you are, my dear. I held out the last word, so she knew it was a question.
Veronica, and don't call me dear. That's kind of my thing.
I smiled as she began to sway back and forth. Ernesto fucked up. He put way too much in those shots for her to be feeling the effects already. Shit. Veronica, you don't look so well. Allow me to take you up to your room. My father's party isn't as important as your health. I stared around the ballroom of the hotel to see if anyone was watching.
Please do. I'm so sleepy.
I swear I'll have Ernesto's entire family for this shit. How much did he put in there? I took her arm and led her as she stumbled out of the ballroom and made my way to the elevator. Which floor is it, my dear? Veronica?
It's the 15th floor.
I pressed the button and stood with her arm draped around my neck. He might have used too much, but other than that, everything seemed to be going smoothly. The elevator dinged at the 15th floor, and she let me know that her room number was 1508. She slipped her room key out of her left breast, handed it to me, and gave me a very poor wink. I slid the key into the door, and we were inside. I slid her arm off my neck, and she spun as she fell, landing on her back, her legs hanging off the bed. I saw this as my opportunity, and made directly for her panties, just right above the slit in her dress. My hands fell, and I started to pull them off. Black panties with red lacy inlays. I felt excitement well up in my chest as I removed them and tossed them aside. I began kissing her neck and started to undo my belt when things started to get fuzzy. My body almost went limp on top of her, and I shook it off. That moron mixed up the shots. I stared ahead of her, trying to focus as my body swayed back and forth. She stood up to face me and smiled like something I'd never seen before. The smile almost split her face in two.
What's wrong, my dear rich boy? Cat got your dick?
She put her right palm softly on my cheek, let the palm fall, swiping past my lips, and the next thing I knew, her elbow was connecting with my jaw. I woke up sometime later on a concrete bench inside a cell. I popped up and ran for the door, placing my face against the window and beating my fist against the glass. "Hey! What's going on here? Where am I?" An officer made his way past the window and stared at me. He looked back at the front desk, held up one finger, and made a circular motion in the air. I heard a metallic buzz, and the door slid open. "Come with me, Mr. Rapist." Rapist? I haven't done anything to anyone. Call my father, Samuel Winston. He'll sort all of this out. "We've spoken to Senator Watson. You're on your own." Panic immediately set in, and I started yelling at the officer. "Sir, I have done nothing to anyone. I swear." The officer looked me up and down. "So, these photos we received from Miss Veronica Morningstar have all been fabricated? You didn't try to drug her?" I immediately recalled the incidents from however long ago it had been, carrying her up to her room, pulling off her panties, and the elbow I received shortly after. "She drugged me! Check my toxicology report. I swear to you, you'll find Rohypnol in my system." "Oh yeah? How do you know what you were drugged with?" My eyes went wide as I stared at him. "I want to speak to my lawyer." "Good idea, you piece of shit." The officer took my fingerprints and booked me in. My trial was swift, and my lawyer got me out after the worst 2 months of my life, even though the person overseeing my sentence was none other than Judge Morningstar, Veronica's father. I met a man inside called Big Paul. I'll let you figure out why that is. And I allowed him to use me in return for safety. In all my years of placing complete faith in the Bible, I had broken the cardinal rules, but I'm sure as a person as devout as myself could receive some kind of leniency. I mean, he has to understand. I found out shortly after that my father had cut me off for having such a public fool. And when I got out of jail, I had nowhere to go. My friend Stephen got me a job at an auto garage, but my lack of experience and inability to learn got me canned quickly. So that brings me to now, at my bridge. I live here during the rainy months. The others and I stay in a tent behind the local food mart. I make enough money panhandling to pay my $30 metro bill a month, so I can at least keep up with current events. I'm honestly just fed up with how things are going, so I spend my time on Reddit just screaming into the wind if I don't like something that someone posted. It makes me feel better. I was sitting under my bridge when a man made his way towards me. He parked his car on the side of the interstate, got out, and made his way over. He looked me up and down sadly, wiped off the concrete next to me, and sat down. "How are you doing today?" The man was wearing a very nice, tailored suit. The black and red went well together. It brought me back to that night for some reason. Not great, if I'm being honest. I'm hungry and I don't have much to my name. The man reached back and pulled out his wallet. He ruffled through it for a few seconds and handed me 10 crisp $100 bills. "Don't spend it all in one place, my dear rich boy." What did he say? Something about spending? I don't care. I have $1,000. I can eat. I can even gamble. I can turn the rest of this money into a fortune. "Hey, hold on. What is your name?" I called after him. "Just call me Sam." He looked back and smiled at me before getting into his car. I went through the money over and over again, just imagining what I could do once I get back on my feet. The horse track. My dad's horse hasn't lost a race in over a year. I left from under my bridge, making my way to the local Wendy's. I ordered a number 2, ate my fill, and I started the 2-hour walk to the racetrack. When I got to the track, I made my way to the window and put down $990 on my father's horse. The devil made me do it, and took my ticket. I sat down in the stands while I waited for the race to begin. I lost. I lost everything. My entire life has gone to shit, and there's nothing else I can do to make it any better. My family has kicked me to the curb. I'm broke. And the best thing I can hope for is a stranger giving me another $1,000 so I can hope to gamble it all away again. I made the 2-hour journey back to my tent, made my way inside, and took the coil of rope I'd been saving for a rainy day. I took it outside and tossed it over one end of the lowest hanging branch, tying off the end so it was taut. I fastened the other end into a noose, slipped it over my head, and made my way to a sitting position on the branch. My last hope was that the years I had spent in church would somehow override the life I had lived. I was terrible, but I remained hopeful. I kicked off the branch, felt myself falling, and felt the snap as I came to a stop. I felt my body swaying back and forth. I felt the tension around my neck, and I opened my eyes. "Veronica?"
Yes, my dear rich boy, back again, in the flesh.
Veronica rubbed her hand down her face with her right hand, and I watched her face change. A handsome man with piercing blue eyes, and his blonde hair pulled out of his face. "Please, we've known each other for, 200 years now? But hey, I do make a fine woman, don't I? I mean, those breasts, right?" I stared at him with my mouth open, still swinging back and forth. Speaking came much easier than I had thought. Am I dead? Oh, my dear rich boy, you've been dead for so long. Do you remember being shot by that poor girl's father when you received no jail time after what you did? What was her name again? Julia, was it? It all came flooding back to me at once. I began to hyperventilate. What did I do to that woman? Unimaginable amount of time that I've been here. The millions of times I played out this exact scenario. I couldn't breathe. Sam just stood there, smiling. It was absolutely entrancing. I blacked out. Just be kind, my dear reader. Be kind. Nothing more, nothing less. Here I am, once again, at one of my father's boring parties. But I will say, this woman in the red dress, Veronica, I believe I overheard, she makes it almost worth it.